AmandaLand, AmandaLand, AmandaLand. We'll see what's going on with this. I definitely did not realize it was not booted up before I pressed start. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on. Come on. Why is it doing this? Oh no, why is it doing this? Can you hear me? My Rodecaster is doing something weird and I don't know how to fix it. It's just not, it's not turning all the way on. Okay, it says remove all cables. So we're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it together. All right, let's try this again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Views from AmandaLand, your news and truths by any joke necessary. Thank you for waking up on the right side of history. Appreciate you. We are here on another Monday morning, trying to make sense of this world that we are existing in. Because remember, I'm not here to give you the news. I'm here to contextualize it. And while we're waiting for this Rodecaster to boot up, somehow we're in June. I don't know how it happened, but somehow we're in June. So our June seal is Tiny Orphan Bubblegum Coral. That's her name, Bubblegum Coral. And let me go over here and switch my bonobo calendar. So I donate monthly to Lola Ya Bonobo, which is a bonobo sanctuary in the Congo. And I donate to Seal Rescue, which is a seal rescue in Ireland. So those, and they send you a calendar when you donate. The fact that my Rodecaster is not booting up is like deeply concerning to me. Like, I don't know why it's not booting up. I'm going to have to call Rode to figure that out. Yeah, you can hear me, but you're not hearing me at the level you're supposed to hear me, and I don't have access to any of my sound effects or any of that. So And you know, when you have equipment and it don't work, you like, but why the equipment don't work? And this is not cheap equipment. But it really is not booting up. And I just am so flabbergasted why it's not booting up. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense, y'all. Why is it not booting up? I can't really put my finger on it. So I'm going to have to solve that another time. Because the show must go on. The show must go on. To all the people joining in Substack, please come on over to YouTube, Amanda Seales TV, so you can experience the show like you are supposed to. I know somebody didn't say, did you try switching it off and on again? I know you didn't just say that. Like, of course I tried that. What else would I do? That's the only option. That's the only option. Is there a reset? Is there a hard reset on here? Let me see, how can I do a hard reset on a Rodecaster 2, on a Rodecaster Pro? Oh, here we go.
It's never been easier to start a podcast than with Riverside.
Bear with me.
Here's how it works.
Bear with me.
First, go to Riverside.
All right. This is the squad. This is us together. Working together. I don't need this whole intro.
Ecamm live users.
Oh my God.
My email
Get to the
address.
point.
What I'm saying? Okay.
Oh my God.
Of technology. We call that the Rodecaster Pro 2. If you don't know, now you know. You see my voice bouncing up and down.
Oh my God. This man is doing the most. How do I do a reset on this, bro? He's doing a whole performance. Okay, hold on. How do I hard reset? How to do a reset on Rodecaster Pro 2. Access the main screen. I can't access the main screen. I don't want to do a factory reset. Press and hold channel 2 and 4 buttons on the Rodecaster Pro and power it on. Oh, here we go.
In this video, we're going to show you 3 different ways to reset your Rodecaster Pro 2 audio mixer. This is perfect if you are experiencing little bugs, little issues. Okay, so the first option that I would recommend for you if you're having small bugs or is your problem. The second option that you have to reset your Rodecaster Pro 2 is to do a full software reset on the unit. This will remove anything that you have saved, all your preferences and settings and sound pads and working properly. Okay, so for option 3, we can also reset the Rodecaster Pro 2 if it's connected to our laptop and we have the Rode Connect software loaded on our laptop.
I do.
You can see here that I can select the Rodecaster Pro 2. In the top right-hand corner, you can select settings. Then you can select factory reset. Now, the cool thing about this method is when you select factory reset, it will actually force a firmware update on your unit. So it'll delete, reset all your settings, and it will flash it with new software.
Dang. So there's really no way for me to reset this without erasing everything. That's what's really going to happen. I literally just did an update on it like the other day. So, and I used it this weekend at the show at the People's Forum. So, yeah. Here we are. It is what it is. All right, well, it's Monday. This is the type of shit that happens on Monday. You know what I'm saying? Like, this some real Monday behavior. So, oh well. Show must go on. Let's get into it. You know, so it's all right anyway, because we have more like video stuff to do anyways today. So And to be quite honest, I feel like shit. Oh, I said I feel like shit. I said I have a cold, and thus I feel like shit. Oh, Marquise decided to show up to class today. Marquise ain't been here for weeks. Oh my God, I feel like crap. I feel like crap, but it's okay. I do feel like crap today. I don't know. I feel like because I did my show on Saturday and I didn't take yesterday to really rest, which, you know, now that I'm an old lady, I actually need a day of rest. Like, I actually need the Lord's day. Oh my God. And so I didn't do that. I ended up going to MSNBC to not even be on because of the Boulder, Colorado thing, which we'll talk about later. But I still had to go. I still went there though. And, you know, it was a waste of time in that regard, but it was a positive time in the fact that I did get to run into Karen Atia. And so we got to have dinner, and there was a lovely makeup person there, Monica, and we got to chop it up. So it was still positive, you know, in that regard. Okay. It was so positive in that regard. Nonetheless, I should have stayed my booty home. That's what I should have done. And because I didn't, I feel sick. So my immune system is like, I don't know who you playing with. I don't know why you acting like you some young strapping, you know, chica out here, but you're not. So here we are. So shout out to everybody who came out to the show this weekend. And if you don't know about What Would the Ancestors Say, then you should make it your business to go to amandaseals.com and get into it. Because it really is that girl. And I feel like people had a really good time. Am I making this up? I feel like people had a really good time. So I was on stage for 2.5 hours. Teaching, talking, laughing, all the things. And, you know, I don't even need this mic. I don't need this mic because it's not plugged into anything. It's not plugged into anything. So I don't need the mic. Okay, so we're going to get into the show because I feel terrible. But I told you I was going to be here, and so I'm here. Okay? And we got 342 people in here on a Monday. Like it. We love it. Today we're going to be talking about the Freedom Flotilla. We're going to be talking about some of this Palantir stuff. We're going to be talking about my thoughts on this Boulder, Colorado situation. And we're going to talk about Thom Yorke from Radiohead. Well, what we're really going to talk about via Thom Yorke is we're going to talk about what it is to be a liberal Zionist. What it is to be a liberal Zionist. Because I think people don't realize that what they may consider nuance is really just enabling. You know? They really think it's like, oh, I exist in the middle. No, it's just enabling. It's not nuance. It's not clever. It's literally just, I am trying to have my cake and eat it too. So there's that. I did get to drop some sound effects into the program in itself. So we'll have a little bit of things. Okay? So, you know, your mama here for you. See? Hey, hey, hey. Are y'all ready to do this? Let's get into it. AmandaLand's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. It is Monday morning in June. AmandaLand's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. All right, we got Orcas Island, Washington. I love the sound of that island. No, it's not working. I just found a workaround because I am that girl. Hey, we got Brooklyn, South Carolina. Okay, wait. What's the problem now? It's playing twice? How is it playing twice? I'm literally just playing it through StreamYard. Well, I tried. You got some people saying I've got two sounds layered on top of each other. You got some people saying it's skipping. You got some people saying I don't hear sound at all. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all. Okay. Who is against us? Someone said there was a click beat in the back. All right. Well, we just gonna do this. AmandaLand's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. Hey, hey, hey. AmandaLand's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. All right, okay. Come on and tell me where you at today. I'm waiting. Drop it in the chat. We got Detroit, the Catskills, Jersey, Denver. We got Bay Area. We got Shaolin. Shout to the whole Staten Island. We got Philly, New Braunfels, Tejas, Upper West Side, NYC, Gardena, California, Manassas, Virginia, sadly in Florida. Don't y'all got a whole sandstorm coming towards you? We got OHIO. Hell's Kitchen in Southern Oregon. We got AKA Los Angeles. We got Kimberly down there with the South LA with the blacks. Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Upper East Side, New York City. Uptown Washington Heights. We got work in New Jersey, Bed-Stuy, and Do or Die Gentrified. Shout out to Andrew who came through the show. Memphis, Tennessee. Duval. We got San Jose, California, Baton Rouge. AmandaLand's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. Thornton, Colorado, Lytle, Texas. What's up, Carmen? Sunnyvale, California, San Diego. Okay, Hammer. We got H-Time. Hey. Someone said Nepal? Someone said they're in Nepal? Who's in Nepal? Ain't nobody said they in Nepal. AmandaLand's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. Toronto, Canada. I think that's Toronto, Canada. Long Beach, baby, LBC. Somebody is in Nepal. We got somebody in Kampala, Uganda. Yay! Love it. Do we have Uganda on the map? I'm not sure. We got Naples, Florida, Long Beach, California. Somebody did say Nepal, but I don't know. They didn't say it again. I really want to see it again because I missed it. AmandaLand's here to learn. Thank you for telling me where you're watching from. All right. on vacation or something? We got Johannesburg in here. So we got Uganda, Johannesburg, Nepal. I know we got Brighton. We got Brighton, England in here. Oh my gosh. We got Yonkers. Let me tell y'all, worldwide with it. Worldwide with it. Worldwide with it. Oh my gosh. I am flabbergasted. I am gobsmacked. Smacked of the gob. If you're watching on Substack, come and join us at YouTube Amanda Seales TV. It's the title of the actual live so that you can come and join us on the actual chat, which is where we're at. All right, let's go over to Nepal, y'all. Let's go over to Nepal, y'all. To Nepal, y'all. All right. Right here. Bam. Oh my gosh. This feels like an accomplishment. We added Nepal today. Incredible. And then, did we have Uganda before, you guys? Yes, we do. Okay, so Uganda has been on the map. Uganda has been on the map. And we got so many people here that are from same places. And I wish you guys would meet up with each other. All right? Because we got to get out of the COVID practice of just existing in the digital space. I feel like I want to take the nap of the century after this show, but it's not going to happen. Should we do our word of the day? All right, our word of the day is... The word of the day is... pejorative. Pejorative. P-R... I think I spelled this wrong because I really feel like it's P-R-E. No, I spelled it right. You better go 11th grade, Amanda. Pejorative. P-E-J-O-R-A-T-I-V-E. Pejorative. Pejorative, tending to make worse. Tending to make worse. It's an adjective. Okay? So it's like a type of term. Like when someone said to me, they were like, I'm sure we did the word before. There's going to be times where we double up the words, y'all. Sometimes we're going to double up the words. It's just what it is. But pejorative is like a... How do I use pejorative in a sentence? So, yes. Pejorative is a term that tends to make worse. So it's like if you say that you're a liberal, I consider that to be a pejorative term. Some people think that that's actually a positive term. Saying you are a liberal makes me feel, I consider it to be a pejorative. It's a pejorative term. And so we are going to use this in a sentence, are we not? We're going to use the word pejorative in a sentence. Pejorative. P-E-J-O-R-A-T-I-V-E. Kismet helps us out. From the late 19th century, from French, pejoratif. From Latin, pejorare, to make worse. From Latin, pejor, worse. So that's your etymology right there. John C. says, I've heard people say Karen is a pejorative term. I strongly disagree with that, though. You don't think Karen is a pejorative term? I do. The pejorative nature of my cousin is the reason why we rarely invite them to family gatherings anymore. Hilarious. All right. That cousin be making it worse. The occupation, Saeed says the occupation the occupation thinks any criticism of them is a pejorative. Facts. Angela Rochelle, using a racial slur is a pejorative term. Basic. Let's keep it simple. Yes. Carmen says, I use it often because illegal alien is a pejorative term to dehumanize Black and brown immigrants. You better say that. Here comes Fatima with her paragraph sentences. The term keyboard warrior exists as a pejorative for a reason. It perfectly describes these self-proclaimed progressives who can't be bothered to speak up when it counts. Yes. Rachel Porter says sometimes these news articles have pejorative wording in them, especially about war and healthcare. Factory, Rachel. Factory. Andrew Jones, performative people are truly the sneakiest pejorative personalities. Yes. You guys did great with pejorative. You guys did great with pejorative. Great job. Great job. Okay, so John cleared it up and said he meant that he doesn't think that the word is discriminating against white people. I completely agree. It's not discriminating against white people. It's identifying Karens. It's a pejorative term that you can absolutely not be a part of. Come on, class. Come on, class. All right, so let's get into it. We have our Black Curate News. Our Black Curate News today is going to be brought to you by the latest episode of Small Doses Podcast, Side Effects of Divesting from Celebrity, which is what I did.
Success in LA became this thing that was also attached to like the superior approval is getting the production deal. The production deal is when a studio or a network pays you a shit ton of money to create for them. Now, mind you, you don't even know what you create, but you got the money. And I remember when Issa got like $100 million production deal, and everybody was like, oh my God, like this is the pinnacle. And I said to myself, like, I guess I'm supposed to want this. I'm supposed to want this. Why do I feel it in my bones to want this? Because, you know, I'm a former gymnast. Like, competition drives me. So, like, why am I not being driven here? I started to understand.
The sound is echoing. Oh, my God. I don't have the energy for this. Why would the sound be echoing? Hold on. I'm going to solve this real quick.
And it took time, but I started to understand that I wasn't being driven for that goal because success in LA became this thing that was also attached to like the superior approval is getting the production deal. The production deal is when a studio or a network pays you a shit ton of money to create for them. Now, mind you, you don't even own what you create, but you got the money. And I remember when Issa got like $100 million production deal, and everybody was like, oh my God, like this is the pinnacle. And I said to myself, like, I guess I'm supposed to want this. I'm supposed to want this. Why did I feel it in my bones to want this? Because, you know, I'm a former gymnast. Like, competition drives me. So, like, why am I not being driven here? I started to understand, and it took time, but I started to understand that I wasn't being driven for that goal because that goal was never going to serve like what I've been sent here to do.
Y'all funny. Here we go, producer Seals. Yes, I am a full-fledged producer. That is a fact. All right, well, let's get into our Black Curate News, people.
Blackberry news. Politics. Blackberry news. Pop culture. Blackberry news. Sports. Blackberry news. Justice.
So let's talk about it. Palantir. Let's talk about it. Now, I don't think y'all, I don't think people want to really admit that when we're talking about this new database that Trump is compiling, which is a PSYOPs database that will literally include your social security, your immigration status, your location, your social media, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your employment, etc. This is not a mastermind of Trump. And this is what really bothers me, is when people think that Trump is a mastermind. We were able to get here because of steps that have been taken by U.S. leadership on a bipartisan level up until this point. This is not simply just a Trump a creation, all right? The Patriot Act set all of this up. And this continued effort to make Americans feel like their safety is contingent upon being watched by literally the government is reality. I mean, is a false reality. Okay? This is George Orwell's 1984 in full, like, out in the open. This is Big Brother. I don't even like when I go to different stores and they be having these like police satellites like in the parking lot, and it will tell you like, we are watching you. This is a police satellite. We are watching you. I don't like it. I don't like it. Makes me uncomfortable. And it lets me know that I am literally being surveilled. Palantir is not new. Palantir is not new. And people like Joe Biden have always been out here and a part of the government control of the people. When I see all of these Republicans who have talked about forever this idea of small government now activating the biggest expansion of government that we've ever seen in our time, it says to me, hey, this was never about anything that y'all thought it was about. And now we're seeing MAGA really be on some like, wait a minute, was this a whole PSYOPs campaign? Yes. Yes, Rowan Farrow has a great documentary called Surveilled that talks about this. You know, there's really no way to actually get out of this, by the way. The fact of the matter is, this is when courage is born. And I don't think enough of us really want to admit that, but this is a fact. You are not going to be able to just live the way that you want to live and not be watched. So therefore, you're going to actually have to get some type of courage to live your values in a world that does not want to allow for your values to exist. Our data, exactly. Our data has been leaked 11 times. So Palantir is not something that is just popping up out of nowhere. I mean, Edward Snowden literally told y'all, what was that, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Yo, they watching you through the camera. They watch you through the camera. I assume that when I'm walking around my house naked, that they're watching me. I assume that. I also know I'm banging. So, you know, I consider it charity. But I assume that. You know? I assume that, like, if they really wanted to, like, try and ruin me, they would just compile video of me picking my nose. Do I eat the boogers? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yes, I remember Nikki Giovanni did like a whole thing about picking her nose. And I was like, I feel seen. I was like, I feel seen. Yeah, if they were like, we're gonna ruin Amanda, they'll just put together a whole clip reel of me picking my nose. So, you know, I think that there's a certain, and I don't care if y'all say I'm gross, because everybody does some type of gross shit that they don't want to admit. I'm the real one though who will admit it. There is a certain level of what's the word? Satisfaction when you clean up the nose. And you're like, man, I did that. I did that. Yeah, I did that. So when they have all of these devices watching us, just know that you're being watched. And, you know, here's Carmen telling us that immigrant advocacy groups were warning us about Palantir and Ring in 2018. You know, all of these apps that immigrants were using by the Biden administration to come into the nation, that same data is now being used against them to find them, to now deport them. You know what I'm talking about? These border apps that they had for you could like use the app to get across the border. Yes. And even in the states that are, you know, putting all this legislation against abortion, they've been telling us, anti-abortion activists have been, abortion reproductive rights activists have been saying, you know, any of these apps that track your period, you know, that track your ovulation, etc., don't use them. Don't use them, because they can use them to track you. So Patrice said it's probably the autism. She said her son does the same, just digging in there. He got him to do it with tissues at least. All right, I'll blame it on the ASD. Zeb said they say you shouldn't pick your nose because your boogers actually offer protection against COVID and other respiratory infections. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying it's a thing that gets done. So there's really a lot of like data that's already been put into spaces and bought. I mean, look at all of the 23andMe, Ancestry.com data. Like they're using that in courtrooms. They're using that. The police are accessing that to be able to convict people. Mind you, they're not using it to get people off who have been falsely convicted. So when we look at something like Palantir, we understand that they exist, but they are not, the only reason they are able to exist is because there have been years and years and years and years of us pouring our data into spaces that they can access. So let's watch a quick little video on Palantir and get more insight into what they're all about.
Do is we use what legal scholars call a predicate-based search. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
Put simpler, they make software that makes it easier for their customers to collect and analyze data, and then act on that analysis with and without AI. By 2013, 10 years after their founding, Palantir's client list included the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Marines, the Air Force, Special Operations Command, and more.
Did your company help to track and kill Osama bin Laden?
You know, we can never. I'll tell you, the closest thing to an answer is there are when you look at when you open the paper and look in the news about these kind of things, there's a 2/3 chance, depending on the country involved, that somehow my company was involved.
Fundamentally, the mission that is pushed to employees is that we're solving the world's hardest problems and supporting Western institutions. That is the main driver of sort of this militaristic culture that is developed inside of Palantir.
If you do not feel comfortable supporting the legitimate efforts of America and its allies in the context of war, don't join Palantir.
This entire message of like, we are the most lethal, we are the most able to surveil and process large amounts of data.
You have created the system which you call kill chain.
Privately. Publicly, the lawyers have some innocuous
So how
Something like
does
tech for the amelioration of unwanted blah blah blah. Some term we're supposed to use.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, for me, it's the kill chain.
Kill chain sounds good.
Kill chain isn't an original term created by Palantir. It's the more general military verbiage for the series of decisions leading from identifying a target to taking their life. Palantir's contract added their software and artificial intelligence to the kill chain.
It's quicker and better and safer and more violent.
It's tech that Juan helped market.
It reduces the distance you have to the problem, but when you're able to take a step back and really see all the narratives and how they were shaped and the actual application of these technologies, your whole world starts falling apart.
We understand that this is the goal. And they do this solely for the feeling of power. All of this effort that is being done to know what people are doing, to try to control, etc., all of this is being done solely to just feel powerful. They just want to be able to rule what people do and how people move. That's it. I wish it was just about money, but it's really not. Money ends up just being the tool through which they get access to power. There's a real problem with how humans are wired, in that power fuels this I guess it's a chemical release that makes people feel good. And I have a whole thing about there's only two people. I feel like there's only two types of people that exist in the world. People who want peace and people who want power. People who want peace actively work towards that. People who want power actively work to dominate. And power does not have to mean you are running the United States. Power can just mean you're trying to run your household. Like my ex would constantly complain about arguing while actively always arguing. And his reason for arguing was always about wanting dominance. That was always the reason that he was arguing. He wanted to dominate. Mind you, he was simply not a dominant person, but he wanted to feel like he was dominant. And so that is always why he would argue. So I would say to him, you claim that you want peace, but you are willing to disrupt peace for the goal of dominance. So what you really want is power. This is the Pisces man, yes. And when you're with somebody who really does want peace, you'll never feel powerful. Because I don't consider peace simply submission. You hear me? Some people think that they're in peace because they have made somebody subdue. So when we talk about peacetime in the world, oftentimes it's not actual peace. It's just people have been subdued. Actual peace is folks being able to exist and have conflict and have disagreement, but also have solution. That's peace. Peace is not being in a space of defense. That's peace. America has never known peace. The United States has never known peace. You might feel like you know peace because you don't worry about your life. But the United States as a country is enacting so much violence at all times that we are always in a state of concern for our own lives. So the idea of peace is subjective. And George Orwell, who wrote 1984, which if you've never read it, it's a dystopian novel that really talks about the world that we are rapidly careening into, that has this overarching surveillance on our everyday lives. And he, in his last interview, spoke about where he feels the world is going.
This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
He looked dead at that camera and said, don't let it happen. It depends on you. And here we are. Here we are. Let me hear what Trevor Noah said. Trevor Noah was in Toronto this weekend and in the interview said the U.S. was built on war and has been in a war ever since. There hasn't been more than a few years without conflict. Did he say anything about Palestine? So, you know, it's imperative to acknowledge that this system of surveillance did not happen simply because of Donald Trump. It did not. And it's imperative to acknowledge this because while you guys will continuously listen to these pundits tout the Democrats as some other or continue to identify themselves as Democrats, I feel like if you are listening to any pundit identify themselves as a Democrat, stop listening. If you're looking to them for any real genuine, if you're looking to them for a genuine point of view, you can stop right there. Any pundits that are out here in 2025 defending or defining themselves as Democrats are no longer giving you valid analysis. They're no longer giving valid analysis. Brother Amir has a word. Assalamu alaikum. And he said, and just to be clear, he's talking to his own race. He's not really talking to the people who are oppressed because he knows that that's going to come a time when the shift is going to change. Correct. Correct. That's why I keep singing, whites, whites on the right. Are you ready to fight? Like what? The whites are in like sticker shock. They're like deers in headlights. Deer. They're deer in headlights. Like, wait, is it happening? Is it happening to us? Yes. It's happening to you. What do people always say? Handmaid's Tale is basically like just everything that's been happening to everybody else but to white people. So I don't want to hear about, you know, I see people talking about Democrats all the time. And I'm like, your little Democrats have been part and parcel to where we are today. And if we don't acknowledge that, then we will not do what needs to be done to absolutely shift the way that this government is run, to absolutely shift who is in position, etc. And I believe that they're actually going to end up eating each other alive. But because I don't know if you all know this, but if you read like Nell Pinter's The History of White People, baby, before the whites was coming at all of us, they was coming at each other. White people were enslaving each other on another level. The Vikings was just riding around, picking up white people and putting them in slavery for each other. And they was always beefing. They was always fighting. They was always at war. Always. You know, while folks in the motherland was building entire kingdoms, whether it's in Benin or Mali or in Mesopotamia, they was over there acting a fool. And them Greeks, all them Greek philosophers, they all thought they was that girl. They all thought they was that girl. Them Greek philosophers was dumb as hell. A lot of the stuff that you hear Greek philosophers say, you like, what was y'all on? Like they just thought that they was really saying something. And when you look at these other civilizations that have existed forever in India, China, Japan, Korea, they was doing a whole world of things. But it was just that the basics of it was that the white people was just lethal. For real, that's really what it is. The white people's was lethal. Now, Asian folks is lethal on a whole other level too. Like they love to put a head on a steak. Baby. They love to put a head on a steak. But this whole conversation around savagery, around the world always being at war, you know, the world was not always at war. The world became at war when white people found civilization and it made them, instead of being informed, instead of it making them better for each other, it made them more lethal to each other, which is weird. You know, it's just very weird. But yes, the whites are the real savages, which is why I tell y'all that if you're really trying to be a high quality white, you better lean out of that whiteness. You better understand that your whiteness is solely a tool to be used to undermine the weapon of whiteness. You better tap in. And I don't think enough white people understand that, like, you may not have been white in another life. You know? Like, if I was white in another life, I was an abolitionist. Or I was doing something right. And I only say that because here I am. So if you're trying to be a high quality white, you're going to have to divest from whiteness. You're going to have to find your identity outside of whiteness. And I feel like there's something that people don't understand about that. Like, that's why I hate when I hear mixed kids talk about, like, I'm both black and white. Please cut it out. Please stop. There is nothing scientific about race. And there's nothing cultural about whiteness except for oppression. So when I hear mixed kids say, I'm both black and white, I'm like, if the difficulty is in understanding that you culturally and DNA wise have taken on, you know, traumatic DNA because of all of that, then so be it. But baby, you Scottish or Irish or, you know, you are Celtic or whatever. But when the mixed folks start hitting me with, I'm both, I'm like, no, you're not. First of all, race is whatever you look like. And ethnicity is what's in them bones and them cells. There are Jewish people who are ethnically Jewish, and then there are Jewish people who are religiously Jewish. They not the same, but what they're trying to say in Zionism is that they are. It's not the same. It's not the same. And being a black person in America, there is race and there is ethnicity. That's why I get so annoyed when people act like they can't tell that a light-skinned black person is a black person. You ethnically black. You may got some other stuff in you because you are in the United States. And there's no purity anywhere because humans are nomadic. So shut up. Actually, in the history of whiteness, it's actually quite interesting because there's a part where one of the Greek scholars says that the Germans, or the Germanias, I think they're called, were the most pure that he had ever seen. They were like really pure. And so that was a part of something that was like they rode on that horse during the Third Reich and, you know, trying to prop up Germany as this like special place of Aryan race. But they left out the second part of the sentence, which was, it was the most pure because ain't nobody want to go there. He was like, ain't nobody want to go there. You not leaving Asia to go to Germany? You not leaving Africa to go to Germany? Why? Why? My point of view on Dominicans is that any Dominican who talks about Haitians as the other, you sound like a dumb idiot. So if you all want to clip that and put it on the internet, go be it. So be it. Any Dominicans talking about Haitians as the other, you sound a plumb fool. You're on the same piece of land. You're on the same piece of land. They genocided all of the Tainos. So you are a descendant of slaves and slave owners. It's the same piece of land. Okay? It's the same piece of land. Like, please get your Trujillo crap out of my face. It's the same piece of land. Cut it out. You sound a mess. They sound a mess. Look at this person here. They look totally different, though. No, they don't! They may have had to live in another part of the island, and so there was more mixing amongst the colonizers. I have had several Dominicans that are severally darker than me, several shades darker than me, tell me, I know black, I Dominican. I'm like, what? They look totally different, though. So there's no light-skinned Haitians? There's an entire class of Haitians that are light-skinned and are considered to be the bourgeoisie class of Haitians. Stop it. You're on one piece of land. That piece of land was colonized. Those colonizers were interacting with each other. They were also graping, and they were also in love with the people that they were colonizing. And then colonialism drew lines and borders. However, you were on one piece of land. They completely genocided the Tainos. So this false sense of like, oh, I'm a Taino, baby, they completely genocided the Tainos. So there are Haitians that are very dark skinned, and there are Haitians that are very light skinned. There are Dominicans that are very dark skinned. There are Dominicans that are very light skinned. They were French. They were Spanish. You know what they both are? European white people. European white people.
So please, please. Like, I hate the cognitive dissonance. And it's really about a nationalist mindset that really is unnecessary. It's this idea that I can't acknowledge the similarity and the sameness and the connectivity to Haitians without diminishing my Dominicanness. And that's not true. Like, there is culture that is very much attributed to where you are and where you've been and the experiences that you've had. Yes. But as somebody who is also a descendant of the Caribbean, I understand that as I am a Grenadian, I have experiences in my body and in my bones from being Grenadian, from being the child of a Grenadian. I also understand that I am of a larger story. I'm a larger story. I also understand that I'm on an island who's named based on colonizers. You know, it's not like Burkina Faso, where literally they changed the name of Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara changed the name of Burkina Faso. It was called Upper Volta. And he was like, y'all can keep that. We're going to call it Burkina Faso. And Burkina Faso means something dope. Hold on one second. It means the land of honorable people. The land of honorable people. Zimbabwe was called Rhodesia by the whites. And they said, keep that. We call it Zimbabwe. We changed the name. We call it Zimbabwe. Cut it out. Cut it out. So miss me with the whole idea of Dominicans and Haitians and sparring against each other. And, oh, we only have so much resources. I understand that you are different countries. But namely, the reason why there has been continued lack of resources is because there is a continued lack of unity. You're sharing the same piece of land, and it's not a big piece of land. It's not a big piece of land at all. If there was unity amongst the República Dominicana and Haiti, I promise you, there would be a completely different set of assets and resources for the people. But you believe the lie, and we all do it. The Bushes and the Clintons own a piece of land in Haiti. They own a piece of land in Labadie, and you can't even go to that land unless you're on a cruise ship. So there are Haitians in Haiti who can't go across this gate because that's owned by the Bushes. It's in Cap Haitian in the north, in Labadie. So you standing here on a beach, and that beach is severed because they're like, oh no, over there. And it's like a whole like water park. So this person said one side was colonized by the French and the other side was by the Spanish. That's the difference. That's not different. That's not different. And that's what I need y'all to understand. That isn't different. That's a colonizer who speaks Spanish and a colonizer who speaks French. It's not different. And that's the problem, is that we continue to apply, nuance in spaces where it doesn't really exist. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. You have Puerto Ricans that are understanding of the colonization of the United States, but aren't understanding of the colonization of Spain. Come on. So the truth of the matter, though, is also, and someone said this in the comments, it goes back and forth. Not quite correct also. Both France and Spain colonized the island back and forth. Exactly. So I just, I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got here, but how did we get here?
I don't remember how we got here. But we learned something. We learned something. And we got 562 people here. That's the most we've had in weeks. Welcome to Views from AmandaLand, your news and truths by any joke necessary. This is not a show about the news. This is a show about understanding the news. Okay. And this is a show about contextualizing what's going on in your character and in your values. Oh, someone did ask me to speak on the Haitians and Dominicans. Okay, I was like, how did I get there? So let's get into our 60-second headlines, shall we? Let's get into our 60-second headlines. If you're watching us on Substack, please join us at YouTube, Amanda Seales. Why is Chase calling me? Please join us at YouTube, AmandaSeales.com. Yes?
Hi, is this Amanda?
Yes.
Hi,
We're back. All right. So let's get into our 60-second headlines. Can I just have a moment with y'all? I just really feel like I'm finding myself. Okay, let's get into it.
AmandaLand. 60-second headline. And I run down some news right quick.
Run it down, mama. Put us on.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the Freedom Flotilla. Let's get into this Freedom Flotilla conversation, baby. Because the Freedom Flotilla is setting sail, and the Freedom Flotilla is a demonstration of commitment. So they left Catania, Italy, or Catania. They left Catania. It's the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. They said one of its vessels left the Italian port of Catania on Sunday, headed for Gaza to deliver humanitarian aid after a previous attempt was thwarted when their ship was bombed. Yes. A drone attacked a separate ship on the Mediterranean. And they said, we still gonna set sail. Now, they're carrying barrels of limited amounts of supplies, but this is like a symbolic, amount of aid. Another vessel operated by the group The Conscience is the one that was hit by the two drones outside of Malta in early May. They blame Israel. I don't see why not, but Israel has not responded to requests. Now, I want to point out that Greta Thunberg is whose name has been attached to this in many ways, because of course she's the most known person on the boat. And so she is the one whose name they're using to really do a lot of the publicity about this. Also, Liam Cunningham, who played oh my gosh, when I forget Game of Thrones things, like I really be feeling some type of way. He played Tyrion Lannister's right hand. No, it wasn't Tyrion Lannister's right hand. No, he played that idiot, Davos. Yes, Davos. Sir Davos the Onion Knight. Yes, he played the other one's right hand. But, it's time for a rewatch. It really is time for a rewatch. Yes, Alice Walker was on the Freedom Flotilla in the past as well. Okay? So I wanted to name all of the folks that are joining on the Freedom Flotilla because I don't want it to just be about Greta Thunberg. And I literally saw a headline that says Greta Thunberg and Game of Thrones actor on Freedom Flotilla. And I was like, y'all really trying to get some clicks. So let's name them. Yasemin Akar of Germany, Baptiste André of France, Thiago Avila of Brazil, Omar Faid of France, Rima Hassan of France, Pascal Moirieras of France, Yanis Mahdi of France, Soyab Ordu of Turkey, Greta Thunberg of Sweden, Sergio Toribio of Spain, Marco Van Rennes of the Netherlands, and Riva Vayard of France are all here on the flotilla, headed out to definitely continue to bring attention to the aid blockade going on in Gaza. But I also wanted to share with y'all this video that I found really necessary because, again, we need to put names and faces to the people who are putting themselves out here in the name of bringing attention to this issue that continues to be presented as if there are two sides.
Here. I'm with the legend. I'm the one with the legend. Oh, the legend here.
I'm here with the captain of the Freedom Flotilla.
Hello.
Tiago, you're going to be sailing on the ship today. How are you feeling about it?
Obviously, I know there's a lot of connections between Palestine and Ireland and the occupation. We've both been occupied. But what is it? Because, it's not every Irish actor that's talking about it. But what made you want to talk about Palestine?
Well, see, the thing is, before I had a so-called, whatever you want to call a celebrity, because of Game of Thrones, went through the roof.
Yeah.
I've been shouting about this for about 40 years. I've got badges with dust on them from ages ago. So I've been doing this since my 20s.
Yeah. I mean, what your name is and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Mark Vanes. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm the skipper here on the AmandaLand, who will go to Gaza, hopefully, in the next days.
And is this your first mission with the Freedom Flotilla?
It's the third time that I'll join them.
Greta, tell me, why have you come onto the Freedom Flotilla? What's going on? Why are you here?
I'm here because the world cannot be silent bystanders. When there's a live stream genocide going on, everyone who has the opportunity to do something have a moral duty to do so. So that's why we have to keep trying to stand in solidarity with you. And it is an honor for me to be talking to you because you are currently the world's biggest heroes.
I know a lot of people, talk and they want celebrities to talk about it and people in positions of power, but the higher your position of power, the more you've got to lose.
Hold on. You're putting money above ethnic cleansing, above war crimes, above, above genocide.
Yeah.
You need to check your morals.
3 weeks ago, the Freedom Flotilla was bombed. There's a real risk that it could get bombed again. It's a small boat. I've been on it. Are you not scared? Are you not worried?
We always say on our boats and on our missions that there's nothing more scary than living in a society that exploits, that oppresses, and that destroys nature, and that allows something like a genocide to happen, like it's happening with the Palestinian people. So it's not that we don't know the risks, but the risk of living under colonization, genocide, apartheid, is way, way worse.
Hiring you to go because, this is a very dangerous mission. The ship was attacked last time. Why do you want to go? Why are you risking your life?
Yeah, I think partially I think in any moral problem, it's the duty of the people who are able to help.
Like the thing I'm most scared and worried for is the world's silence, which is the most dangerous thing right now, which is enabling this genocide too.
Videos that I've seen where the child's face is, I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what breaks my heart. I mean, obviously the horrific physical injuries, but it's the faces on the innocents.
Yeah.
Whereas why am I being punished? And they're not even they're incapable of understanding.
Yeah.
They're tiny children.
Yeah.
More intensified moments now. Yeah, I thought it is very important that especially the Western world starts to intervene in this.
But I think that, the Middle East has seen enough bombs from Europe in the Western world. It's seen enough sanctions that have starved children to death. I think it's about time now that we start healing the Middle East.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think a children's hospital is the way to do that. I think that changes everything.
Yes, yes, it will remind people of the core problem here, which is you cannot just take for political purposes the lives of children, of innocents.
Very brave, man, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm sure those kids in Gaza, they appreciate what you're doing for them as well.
Listen, guy, I'm so happy that I came all the way from Australia. 26 hours it took me to get here. But to meet you and make that connection, that's worth it all for me, Tiago, man. So listen, man, I can't wait to see you land in Gaza on the beaches there. I'll make sure my family's there to greet you when you arrive, man. I thank you so much, man. What you're doing is so brave. It's so courageous. You know, the whole world is condemning what's going on in Gaza. And the whole world is saying, allow aid in, but no one's doing anything. And you and your team and your small boat are going to go and break the siege in Gaza. It is historic what you're doing.
Now, see, this right here, Regine said, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. Regine said, I watch the news every morning and I have not seen anything about this. But what we did see all weekend long was about an attack in Boulder. And I don't really feel like that is by accident. We will get to that. I'm with Nadaleje. The captain's the real hero. He said, I'm coming here 3 times. All right. I've been here 3 times. Globalize, the Intifada Rayon said, historic indeed. We need more humans like this to step forward and show the world how it's done. And, you know, here on Views from AmandaLand, I really make it my business to try to amplify stories like this, not because it's the news, but because I really feel like so many people don't understand that there are people who are out here and you can be those people. You know, that's the thing that so many of us kind of are stuck behind. We're just like, I don't see anybody else doing nothing. That's by design. That's by design. The Freedom Flotilla has set sail, and oh, someone's at my front door. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves, y'all. It's my sublimation printer because I want to start making some things for y'all. So has anyone been to the Freedom Flotilla website? You know what? I have not been to the Freedom Flotilla website. So the thing about watching the news now is that so much of it is so obviously contrived that I feel like I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I just see things and I can't help but look sideways at them. Let's talk about Boulder. So here's what the FBI, that alone should call you to question. Here's what the FBI is saying. An attack in Boulder, Colorado, near a rally calling for the release of Hamas-held hostages in Gaza left multiple people with burns on Sunday in an attack that the FBI is investigating as terrorism. Via FBI Denver Special Agent in Charge Mark Michalek, a suspect was taken into custody after witnesses reported that a man with a makeshift flamethrower So just so you know, that is a Molotov cocktail, yelling "Free Palestine" threw an incendiary device into the crowd during the attack. 8 people were taken to Denver area hospitals. The suspect has been identified as 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon of El Paso County, Colorado. Okay. So even if you read all of that, you watched all of it, and you were like, okay, plausible. When you saw this tweet is when you should have started to say, hold up, I don't rock with this completely. This don't make no sense. Stephen Miller, who we know to be an insane, racist, terrible person, and is the chief of staff or some high level, I think that's his title, for Donald Trump, said a terror attack was committed in Boulder, Colorado by an illegal alien. He was granted a tourist visa by the Biden administration, and then he illegally overstayed that visa. In response, the Biden administration gave him a work permit. Suicidal migration must be fully reversed. Okay, so let's understand something. When it was first reported who the person was, it was that he was a skinhead. It was a white man. I was there at MSNBC yesterday when they were in the process of finding out all the pieces of this. And it was a white man. When I woke up today, it's a man named Muhammad. Now, let me also note that while I was there yesterday, I noticed how over time the story became spun. I literally watched it in real time. I watched them decide on a narrative that this is harming Israelis. I watched them then flip it into this is scaring all the Jewish people of the United States. I watched them then invoke this illegal alien element. Like they really, it was as if they had like a spinner and we're just clicking on the spinner and saying, okay, we're going to add this in. We're going to add this in. And I know that this can be really annoying to hear me talk like this because it may feel like, well, oh my gosh, Amanda, then I can't believe anything. And the truth of the matter is you genuinely cannot. You cannot believe anything that mainstream media tells you because it is not controlled by ethics or principles. You may have individuals in these spaces that have a good heart, but the truth is they just can't live and speak the way that they, may honestly want to. I mean, here we have Blinken, who we also know to be the devil. Okay? This is former, what was his title, y'all? I can't remember stuff these days. So here's Anthony Blinken really sitting here saying straight up, Matthew Blinken, sorry, saying straight up.
What's going on in Gaza now is a genocide?
I don't think it's a genocide, but I think I think it is without a doubt true that Israel has committed war crimes.
You wouldn't have said that at the podium.
Yeah, look, because when you're at the podium, you're not expressing your personal opinion. You're expressing the conclusions of the United States government. The United States government had not concluded that they've committed war crimes, still have not concluded that.
But your personal view is they have.
And
they were while you were there.
But let me qualify that. There are two ways to think about the commission of war crimes. One is if the state has pursued a policy to deliberately committing war crimes or is acting reckless in a way that aids and abets war crimes, if the state is committing war crimes, and that I think is an open question. I think what is is almost certainly not an open question is that there have been individual incidents that have been war crimes where Israeli soldiers, members of the Israeli military, have committed war crimes. And we do know that Israel has opened investigations, but look, we are many months into those investigations and we're not seeing Israeli soldiers held accountable. So ultimately, in almost every major conflict, including conflicts prosecuted by democracies, you will see individual members of the military, of militaries commit war crimes. And the way you judge a democracy is whether they hold those people accountable.
But Israel hasn't.
That's my point,
Right.
is we have not yet seen them hold sufficient numbers of the military accountable. And I think it's an open question whether they're going to.
Okay, so I was talking that whole time I was muted, and then my mouse would not work. Okay. What I was saying was one of the things that makes me difficult, one of the things that is very difficult for me as a human is lying. Like, I really struggle with watching people lie. It is deeply disturbing for me. And as a human being, I just can't grasp how other humans can live in a perpetual state of mistruth and dishonesty. And someone like Matthew Miller is actively using his whole existence as a lie because he is completely disassociating himself from complicity. And I find it incredibly disturbing to experience this in real time in such a grandiose way. Now that I see it, I can't unsee it. And so I witness the lies all the time. And it'll be on the various levels, right? It's the lies that the cleaner was telling me to cancel 2 hours before she would come to clean my house. Like, ma'am, I know you lying. It's the lies that someone like Matthew Miller says when he comes here to talk about, oh, they have individual acts of war crimes. Israel, as it exists, is a crime in how it enlists apartheid, in how it uses the Palestinian people to test weapons. As a nation, it is completely committed to going against international law. Its ethos is built on ethnic cleansing. So as an actual country, it has never been outside of the realm of war crimes. It has never operated as a peaceful state. Its birth was in violence. This bad apples crap is nonsensical and should not be platformed. So I just feel like when we watch this type of stuff, you know, it's just, bro, like, what do we look like? And then these people go to sleep. These people sleep very well. These people sleep very well, which is always fascinating to me. That's Matthew Miller. Anthony Blinken is the other white man with the pointy nose. Both of their noses and faces are very involved in smirking. Their faces are like really like extreme. Extreme. So let's get into this conversation around Thom Yorke. So do y'all know who Thom Yorke is? Now, let me start by saying this is a really annoying conversation to have because the way I love Radiohead is deep. It's real deep. Okay? And for Thom Yorke to be the cornball that he is just unforgivable. It really is, because there's no reason to be this level of a cornball. And at this point, nobody should be confused about what's going on right now. But this is Thom Yorke. And why is my mouse? Why is everything messing up for me today? This is Thom Yorke. Okay? In the deepest ocean, bottom of the sea, your eyes. Or we can go, karma, police, arrest this man. He talks in tongues. Or we can go, 'cause I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. Or we can go, everything in its right place. All right. So we have all of these great songs. But then he woke up a few days ago and said, you know what? I should really make people dislike me. I should really make people dislike me. So let me get focused on that. And I'm not sure, like, I literally am so frustrated right now because everything I'm trying to show y'all is just messing up. And it's making me want to give up. Hold on. Okay. Thom Yorke put out a statement. And what we're going to do together is we are going to point out where the liberal Zionism shows up in this statement. That's what we're going to do. We're going to point out where the liberal Zionism shows up in this statement because I want us to be able to identify liberal Zionism, because it is imperative that we be able that we are able to identify liberal Zionism in the same way that it was imperative that we were able to identify liberals during the fight for civil rights. Because liberals are in the way all the time. If you consider a liberal is a centrist, all right? And centrists are basically, first of all, Kara, stop using all caps. Stop using all caps. So that, please. So a centrist is exactly that. They're in the middle. So if they're in the middle, they are blocking the ability to get at the real problem. Now, here's how his message begins. Some guy shouting at me from the dark last year while I was picking up a guitar to sing the final song alone in front of 9,000 people in Melbourne didn't really seem like the best moment to discuss the unfolding humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. So let's just start right there. Okay? Boom. Off top, we're talking a liberal Zionist because, yes, Diana Craig, valuing comfort over justice. There is no wrong time to raise your voice against genocide. There is no wrong time. Okay? Afterwards, I remained in shock that my supposed silence was somehow being taken as complicity, and I struggled to find an adequate way to respond to this and to carry on with the rest of the shows on the tour. So, again, we're censoring comfort. Again, we're censoring our own feelings. Thom, I don't know why you're in shock that silence would be taken as complicity. That's always the case. Always. It's not unique in this situation, particularly when being vocal about Palestine has been an imperative part of garnering resistance. The silence, my attempts to show respect, that silence, my attempt to show respect for all those who are suffering and those who have died, and to not trivialize it in a few words, has allowed other opportunistic groups to use intimidation and defamation to fill in the blanks, and I regret giving them this chance. This has had a heavy toll on my mental health. Respectfully, F your mental health. You created the situation that you're in, and now you want to blame everybody else for why you are sad. Your mental health is literally you reframing, you being embarrassed. This is liberal Zionism. You are literally making yourself the victim of your own decisions. Sir, it has been over a year and a half since October 7th, and it has been since 1948 that this has been going down. And you're talking about your suffering in the context of people in Gaza. Please stop. This content, this attempt at saying opportunistic groups are using intimidation and defamation to fill in the blanks. The truth of the matter is that they can't fill in something that's already full. You know, like I was standing in line, getting on a plane, and a woman walked up to me and said, I was standing there. And I said, well, clearly you weren't, because I'm standing here. How could I be standing here if you were standing here? She said, well, I just stepped away to XYZ. I said, well, baby, you know, like, there's no, like, what do we call it? There's no claimsies. Did you tell the person in the front and the back of you that you was about to step away and come back? No. So now this is my spot. I'm here now. I'm standing in line. I would hope that for anyone who has ever listened to a note of the music of my band or any of the music I've created over the years, or looked at the artwork or read any of the lyrics, it would be self-evident that I could not possibly support any form of extremism or dehumanization of others. All I see in the lifetimes of work with my fellow musicians and artists is pushing against such things, trying to create work that goes beyond what it means to be controlled, coerced, threatened, to suffer, to be intimidated, and instead to encourage critical thinking beyond borders, the commonality of love and experience and free creative expression. So, though that may have been what you're doing, it is quite possible that you've missed the mark. For others, let me fill in the blanks now so we're nice and clear. I think Netanyahu and his crew of extremists are totally out of control and need to be stopped, and that the international community should put in all the pressure it can on them to cease. Their excuse of self-defense has long since worn thin and has been replaced by a transparent desire to take control of Gaza and the West Bank permanently. I believe this ultranationalist administration has hidden itself behind a terrifying and grieving people and used them to deflect any criticism, using that fear and grief to further their ultranationalist agenda with terrible consequences, as we see now with the horrific blockade of aid to Gaza. While our lives tick along as normal, these endless thousands of innocent human souls are still being expelled from the earth. For what? At the same time, the unquestioning Free Palestine refrain that surrounds us all does not understand the simple question of why the hostages have still not all been returned. For what possible reason? So let me help Thom Yorke understand something. The hostages were taken and protected as best as they could as they were continuously bombarded. The hostages were taken because Palestine and its people has been under a 75-year onslaught and blockade by Israel. Not simply by Israel's ultranationalist administration, but by Israel. Apartheid exists. People are daily harassed, unalived, their property demolished, stolen, etc. Hostages were taken as a tactic to provide a semblance of leverage in trying to stop this. To suggest that the taking of hostages by Hamas is more problematic, is more devastating, is unconscionable when Israel is daily taking hostages as young as 7 years old, putting them into militarized camps where they are not given a court date, they are not given a date of release, and it has been reported by Haaretz and the New York Times that they have suffered sexual assault. To be unable to acknowledge both of these things at the same time makes you no longer a voice of valid criticism of any part of this genocide. For you to be unclear as to why the hostages have still not been returned means that you also haven't been paying attention, because the H group has said several times that they will return the hostages. Several times. If there was a ceasefire. And this government has said several times, we will not. To suggest that you don't understand why hostages are taken in the first place means that you don't feel like there is any reason why Palestine should have to fight back. The hostages, in large part, have been members of Israeli society who have at some point served in the IDF. They have a militarized society. Any Israeli citizen who has grown up there has served in the IDF. And if you didn't grow up there, you moved there, which makes you also complicit. So therefore, anybody that you are taking hostage from that society is a part of a society that is actively occupying Palestine. And occupiers cannot be victims. If your reasoning for the hostages being returned is not attached to the contingency that this should never have to happen again, then I don't want to hear your reasoning. Because you're ignoring the fact that the hostages were taken for a relevant reason. And for you to say that there is no relevant reason is, to me, somebody who does not understand the level of despair and the level of suffering that is happening in Palestine, in Gaza. We'll see beautiful videos of what the Palestinians have managed to make of Gaza, but that does not ignore the reality that you have entire refugee camps of people that never recovered from their lives being disrupted in various wars. So I really find it deeply disturbing when people want to make these blanket, very virtue signaling statements of like, no one should be taken hostage. Well, you can say that, but you have to acknowledge no one should be blockaded in an open air prison. No one should have their children taken from them and put in military prison for throwing rocks at their occupier. No, like there's so many no ones that come before no one should be taken hostage. So to start at no one should be taken hostage is a disingenuous critique. And it says very obviously that you believe that these lives are more valuable than those lives. He goes on to say, why did Hamas choose the truly horrific acts of October 7th? The answer seems obvious, and I believe Hamas chooses to hide behind the suffering of its people in an equally cynical fashion for their own purposes. I also think there is a further and extremely important point to make. Let's hear what he says. Social media witch hunts, nothing new, on either side, pressuring artists and whoever they feel like that week to make statements, etc., do very little except heighten tension, fear, and oversimplification of what are complex problems that merit proper face-to-face debate by people who genuinely wish the killing to stop and an understanding to be found. This kind of deliberate polarization does not serve our fellow human beings and perpetuates a constant us and them mentality. It destroys hope and maintains a sense of isolation, the very things that extremists use to maintain their position. First of all, this is an extremist. Do you understand the level of effort it takes to both sides? It's extreme. It's extreme to exist on both sides of an issue. That's exhausting. And this is an example of liberal Zionism. People showing up today to say this is terrible, but. This is terrible, but. If our world is ever to move on from these dark times and find peace, it will only be when we rediscover what we share in common. And the extremists are sent back to sit in the darkness from where they come. He closes by stating, I sympathize completely with the desire to do something when we are witnessing such horrific suffering on our devices every day. It completely makes sense, but I now think it is a dangerous illusion to believe reposting or one or two line messages are meaningful, especially if it is to condemn your fellow human beings. There are unintended consequences. It is shouting from the darkness. It is not looking people in the eye when you speak. It is making dangerous assumptions. It is not debate and it is not critical thinking. Importantly, it is open to online manipulation of all kinds, both mechanistic and political. What is the alternative? I can't answer that easily. I do know that communities around the globe, this subject is now dangerously toxic, and we are in uncharted waters. We need to turn back. Okay, let's address that. We need to turn back. Where should we turn back to? Where should we turn back to? Because the waters are not toxic based on something new. The waters are toxic because the toxicity has risen to the surface. It was always there. So if we turn back, we're in the same waters. And anyone who says turning back about literally anything that relates to global politics is, in my opinion, somebody who has lost sight or never had sight of the true realities of the continued efforts to disparage, to diminish, and to destabilize everywhere in the global South. So unless you're turning back, if you are turning back time to a time before white people stopped fighting themselves, unless you're turning back to that, unless you're turning back to a time before women were demonized and patriarchy became the law of a global land, unless we're turning back to that, I don't want to hear about turning back. I don't want to hear about it. He ends this by saying, I am sure that to this point, what I have written here will in no way satisfy those who choose to target myself or those I work with. So this is the disclaimer. This is such a deeply narcissistic message. This whole letter is so deeply narcissistic that we could do a whole reread to break down not just the liberal Zionism, but the narcissism. Because it's deep, baby. I have written this in the simple hope that I can join with the many millions of others praying for this suffering, isolation, and death to stop, praying that we can collectively regain our humanity and dignity and our ability to reach understanding. That one day soon, this darkness will have passed.
Yeah.
Shut up, Thom Yorke. Shut up. You sound like a terrible person. You sound like a typical white man. You sound like a typical victim of your own villainy. And the both sides is so dangerous, Rolando. It is so dangerous. But his both sides has very many levels to it. Yes, Rachel, his wording is pejorative. And yes, Five Fights, he said all of that for T's and P's, thoughts and prayers. He said all of that for thoughts and prayers. The letter was about him. Stop bothering me. That's literally what his letter was about. Stop bothering me about this genocide. So, stick a fork in it, Thom Yorke. Your music has been incredible, but it is incredibly sad to see how disparate it is from your actual character. You just spent a whole letter both siding a genocide while also centering yourself in the struggle and completely ignoring the 1948 Nakba and everything that has taken place after it. That is a level of cognitive dissonance that I find incredibly impressive, even more so than singing and playing guitar at the same time. He takes both siding and demonstrates for us multitasking on a whole new level of devil. So he could have kept that to himself. And his guitar player, Johnny, is married to a Zionist. So, Radiohead, everything is not in its right place. That's our show today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. We had very many conversations. It's noon. And it's time to go. We got a lot of y'all saying you're going to block Radiohead. I get it. Rayanne said, I don't want to give him streaming. I hear you. Tiffany Lambert said the cognitive dissonance in our world is definitely tied to the act of lying in our society. Factory. Diana, everything is not in its right place. Okay, Diana, giving me ideas for Substack. I have a whole list of Substack articles that are going to come down the pike at some point. Would you all like to hear some of my upcoming Substack topics that are in the queue? Okay, I got 3 yeses. Handmaid's Tale is white women redemption porn. The system doesn't keep up with the people. We need term limits to address the rapidity of changing happening in our world. Social media is the new crack for Black folks. We're still the peddlers of distraction and reliance. Black folks walking into Martin's burning house. Why do you believe in Democrats? Why do you want to be a Democrat? Black conservatism is white weaponry. Colonizing the Black American mind harms the world. We are the descendant of some of the strongest beings on the earth. The Congo is the heart of the earth, and that's why it is constantly attacked. Time is beyond our human lifetime. Multi-hyphenates are touring the digital space. And then I want to do a reoccurring series called Lingering Glimmers, where I write about like special, like really like beautiful moments that I remember over the course of my life. So these are just some topics that I have in the queue, and I will get to them eventually. So I'm pretty sure this Substack froze when the phone call happened because no one has joined since. So I'm going to end it. And I feel like it is time. It is time for a public sales announcement. PSA. So this weekend, I did my show, What Would the Ancestors Say, at the People's Forum here in New York City. And I was really fortunate to have a really generous audience that was also incredibly diverse. And it really forced me to continue to expand the show to, the show is never the same. There's always differences. And it allowed me to lean into that in the content. And I really want to shout out the audience for being willing to go on that ride with me. One of the things that was so beautiful for me was that after the show, so many people came to me and said, you know, this show helped me feel seen. This is what I needed to feel seen. And I know for a lot of artists, sometimes it can feel like, is that enough? And I am somebody who definitely didn't think that that was enough. But I changed my tune, and it is. In a time where so many of us constantly feel like we are talking to ourselves, like we are in silos, like we are in echo chambers, people feeling like they are seen by your work is imperative, because as humans, being seen is what allows us to continue to be functional. And that's what people were telling me about the show, that it allowed them to be functional in their own unique purpose. Somebody came to the show who's a whistleblower at their place of business. Somebody came to the show who is autistic. And even though I don't even talk about that in the show, he felt like he's witnessing it by just watching me perform. There was somebody else at the show who is, constantly just trying to find like places of resistance that they can exist in. And they have a family that tells them that they're always trying to rabble rouse and start things up. But doing this show and them watching this show made them feel strong and asserted in their work. And I know that I feel strong and asserted in my work in doing the show. So there is a symbiosis and an exchange that's happening in real time that I really feel is necessary on a multiple amount of levels. I want to again thank our volunteers who came through and helped with the merch and the passing out of materials and with the meet and greet. And I am dedicated to continuing to do the show. If you watched it on live stream, thank you for taking in the digital version. I hope to be doing this show monthly. And so me and TPF are talking about how we can possibly make that happen, because that would be a great venue, a great space, because it already is dedicated to exactly what we are talking about in the show. If you didn't get a chance to come out, please make sure that you sign up for the newsletter so that you can know when I'm going to be doing this show again. And you can find out how you can make sure to be there, or at least watch it on the live stream. Again, I'm also making sure that I do the show for free. So I'm going to put a donate link. So if anybody wants to donate or, be a part of bringing organizations to the table where I can do the show with funding, then you can do that. So I, again, want to share just how much it means to me to be able to bring this type of work to you, how much it means to me to have it be received, and how much it means to me that it not only is received, but that it is considered important. I was talking on Patreon this morning on Morning Musings about how I feel like I undermine my work a lot. I downplay my work a lot because I have always been, kind of trained to be modest and to have humility. And we have been tricked into thinking that those things can't exist while also acknowledging the importance or the amount of effort that has been put into one's work. And so I'm really having to work on that, kind of moving past that hurdle in order to really be my biggest cheerleader for this project of purpose, of intention, and of humanity. So thank you again. What Would the Ancestors Say is coming to a city near you. And I will be working on also doing releases over the course of the rest of the year of different What Would the Ancestors Say items, like supplementary materials. So like the What Would the Ancestors Say coloring book, the What Would the Ancestors Say study guide, and then ultimately the What Would the Ancestors Say script edition. And that in itself is going to be its own kind of collector's item, because I will, over the course of my life, put out different editions of the What Would the Ancestors Say script, because What Would the Ancestors Say is a work that will continue to adjust to the times. And if anybody watched it in November of last year to now, you can say that you've already seen it. You've already seen the adjustment. Thank you, Sandy. You can get some What Would the Ancestors Say merch right now at AmandaLand Exports. The What Would the Ancestors Say postcards are available, and they are my babies. I love them. You get 2 each, and we will have another set coming out with a matching pin. So right now we have the Harriet pin, and the next pin that's going to come out in the AmandaLand Exports Call on Your Ancestors series is going to be a Malcolm X pin. So stay tuned to see that pin come to life. You all have an incredible weekend. Nope, it's not the weekend, Amanda. It's the first day of the week. Ciao. PSA. Hey. Show your love, y'all. Show your love. Show your love. Yes. Show your love. Yeah. Show your love. Come on, y'all. Drop a super in the chat, baby. Drop a super, baby. Thank y'all for coming through. I'm doing the best I can do. My roadcaster gave technical difficulties, but we still did a good show on this Monday. Yes, yes, Alton Waits, thank you for dropping a super for me. Ooh, show your love, show your love, show your love, show your love, yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, wee, 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 wee. Thank you, Celine. Thank y'all so much. Donna, thank you for the lovely message you left me on the Patreon. And thank you to all of my SEAL Squad members of our Patreon. I don't know why I'm hemorrhaging Patreon members. I mean, I feel like we get better every week, but nonetheless, so if you've got $5 that you feel like you want to put towards getting a vibe and a community, come on over to our Patreon. See all our SEAL Squad folks. So I am going to I'm going to make some soup. But yeah, your girl's back. I'm here. We got things to do and talk about and to lead. If you are in New York, I will be hosting the Proyecto Faro benefit fundraiser. And let's see, let me go to its website and see if they're... Yes. And I don't know why they didn't put me on the flyer as hosting it, but I am. Oh, they did. Featuring the dynamic actress comedian. Jesus Christ. I hate being called an actress comedian so much. I hate it so much. Oh my God. The way I hate being called an actress comedian is deep. Okay. I want y'all to know. It's really, really deep. Man, I can't stand it. Actress comedian. Lord. It's so trite. It's so trite. I'm putting the flyer up for y'all. Give me a second. The Coming to America event is happening on July 17th. July 17th is when the Coming to America event is happening. MSNBC said that in the intro, which is unbelievably annoying because I have written out the intro for them and made it abundantly clear how I want to be addressed. I'm an artistic intellectual. That's the only way I want to be addressed. Artistic intellectual. That's it. Don't call me anything else. Call me an artistic intellectual. And that is something that people are confused about, and that's fine with me. How are you being double charged, Panthera? What is going on? What is going on? Chloe, I know who you're talking about. I saw her in Arizona. She was checking them folks on that stage. So yeah, if you are in New York and you want to come up to the Proyecto Faro benefit and celebration, Proyecto Faro was featured on Views from AmandaLand. So make sure you go back and check their episode. They are an organization that works to support the community of immigrants as well as the community of non-immigrants, because the community of non-immigrants needs to understand the importance of immigrants, right? So thank you so much to everyone who has supported Proyecto Faro, and I will be hosting this pro bono. Okay, I'm gonna host it for free. Now I'm not hosting everything for free, but I'm gonna host this one for free. And so come on out. All right. Now I know so many people just watch that and will be like, "Will you come and host my thing for free?" No, because your thing requires me to get on a plane. Yay! Thanks, Shamika. Appreciate you. Wait, why is all of this happening? Oh my gosh. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a form. I'm going to make a form for Patreon that you can fill out with your gripes. Like, not gripes, but like with any like technical difficulties, so that I can literally give that to them instead of like one by one stuff, so that I can give that to them. Okay? Because I don't understand why that's happening. And I apologize deeply. So I'm going to do that when I get off of this screen. And then I'm going to go to sleep because I feel like crap. I'm going to order some soup. So y'all know what time it is. Do y'all know what time it is? Because I'm going to tell you what time it is. It's this time. Time for this.
30 seconds.
Oh my God, what just happened?
Illness.
I enjoyed laughing and learning with you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell your friends. Also, listen to the podcast. It's available everywhere pods are casted. Listen ad-free by subscribing to Patreon Amanda Seals. Come on and join the Seals Squad. Views from AmandaLand. Live 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, with content on Thursday and Friday at YouTube Amanda Seals TV.
Smart financial.